Imagine you're facing a Monday morning alert storm, suspicious sign in, a phishing email that slipped through, and an endpoint quietly beaconing out. Now, what do you chase first? Which signal is real? Which one is just noise? And when leadership asks, are we contained? Can you prove it with evidence from Microsoft Defender XDR and Microsoft Sentinel? In SC-200, we'll work this like a real SOC. Investigate, respond, and hunt using KQL step by step with hands-on practice. Grab your coffee, let's get started. Let me introduce you to a course where you will learn how to tackle these real-world scenarios. I'm Jean-François Bilodeau, a Microsoft technical trainer. I've been in the security business since the very start of my career, working as a developer for antivirus companies in the DOS and early Windows days. In this course, let's explore how to mitigate threats across endpoints, cloud, and data using Microsoft Defender, Microsoft Purview, and Security Copilot. We'll configure Microsoft Sentinel, connect logs, write KQL queries, and create detections to investigate incident and hunt threats. By the end, we'll be working like a real security operation teams, turning alerts into actions. Let's get started with the first session. In our first session, let's cover how to defend against cyber threats with Microsoft Security Operation Platform, with a focus on learning path 1, mitigate threats using Microsoft Defender XDR. Together, we'll take a look at how Microsoft Defender XDR fits into a modern security operations center, how incidents and alerts are investigated and remediated, and how key solution areas like Defender for Office 365, Defender for Identity, Defender for Entra Protection, and Defender for Cloud App works as one connected story. By the end, you'll have a clear mental model for how to detect faster, investigate smarter, and reduce attacker overall time with coordinated response. So let's get started with the session. To keep things clear, here's the roadmap for what we'll cover. We'll start with an introduction to threat protection with Microsoft Defender XDR. Then we'll move into how to investigate incident using Microsoft Defender XDR, covering core investigation and response workflow. From there, we'll take a look at how to remediate risk with Defender for Office 365 inside the Defender XDR experience. Then shift to identity-focused protection with Microsoft Defender for Identity and Microsoft Entra ID protection. Finally, we'll wrap things up with Defender for Cloud Apps and how it helps you see and connect your cloud app risks. We'll begin by grounding ourselves in what threat protection looks like when you operate at the speed of modern attacks. Microsoft Defender XDR is designed to help you detect, correlate, investigate, and respond across multiple security domains, so you're not chasing scattered alert, but instead building a coherent understanding of the attacker's path. By the end of this module, you should be able to do 4 things. First, understand the Microsoft Defender XDR solution by domain, meaning how the different Defender workload contributes signals and response across actions. Second, understand Defender XDR role in a modern SOC where speed, scale, and correlation matters. Third, understand the security operation model, how people, process, and technology combine to reduce risk. And fourth, understand threat investigation using the Microsoft Security Graph API, so you can connect these insights programmatically when you need automation or custom workflows. To defend well, we'll need a shared language on how attacks unfold. Security is a team sport across business, technology, and security team. So clear and consistent communication is critical. An attack chain model helps create that common understanding. There are several ways to model attack stages. One legacy approach is to use the Lockheed Martin cyber kill chain, which introduces the idea of breaking an attack into phases such as reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, and finally, action on objectives. It's historically important, but it's considered a legacy reference model because it wasn't updated to reflect modern multi-stage attacks that often involve extensive lateral traversal. For technical planning and detection coverage, the MITRE attack framework is a detailed and widely adopted model. It breaks adversary behavior into tactics and techniques, covering stages such as reconnaissance, resource development, initial access, persistence, privilege escalation, defense evasion, credential access, discovery, lateral movement, command and control, exfiltration, and impact. This level of detail is especially useful when assessing, detecting coverage, and planning improvements across known techniques. And when you need a simpler model for strategy conversation with business leaders or other non-technical stakeholders, the PEAT model is a useful option. Prepare, enter, traverse, and execute. Objectives. It's intentionally high level, but still accurately describes how an attacker progresses, including the critical reality of moving laterally inside the environment. The key takeaway is that organizations need to think across all stages of an attack chain and balance investments across them. Because defense that only focus on one stage leaves gap attackers can exploit. Now let's connect the idea of attack chain to how Microsoft provides coverage across them. Attack, especially external threats, are flexible. An attacker might start with phishing, move into exploitation and installation, establish command and control, compromise identities, attempt lateral movement, and ultimately try to access and exfiltrate sensitive data or create direct business impact like ransomware or extortion. The key takeaway here is that Microsoft provides end-to-end integrated visibility within the variety of attack techniques seen in both external attacks and insider risk. That integrated visibility comes from combining detection and response. Microsoft Defender XDR with SIEM and orchestration capabilities from Microsoft Sentinel, all designed to streamline the analysis experience so that you spend less time switching tools during those time-sensitive incidents. As we follow the attacker's path, different Microsoft security capabilities light up at different points. Defender for Office 365 protects email and collaboration, helping stop phishing messages, unsafe URL, and malicious attachment across Exchange Online, SharePoint, OneDrive, Team, and more. Defender for Endpoints add endpoints detection and response for our workstations, server, and mobile devices, detecting abnormal behavior and supporting automated investigation and response. On the identity side, Entra ID and Defender for Identity helps detect compromised account, brute force or password spray attack, risky sign-in, and suspicious activity for both cloud identities and on-premise identity infrastructure like Active Directory and ADFS. For cloud application and data, Defender for Cloud App helps us understand data usage, detect anomalous activities, and reduce data exfiltration risk. Even across a wide ecosystem of SaaS services, including hundreds of generative AI applications, Microsoft Defender for Cloud extends protection to cloud workload like server VM, containers, SQL databases, APIs, and DevOps processes. And in environments that include connected devices or industrial system, Defender for IoT and OT adds asset discovery and threat management to reduce the risk of disruption in operational technology. On top of these detection and workflow, Microsoft Security Copilot can simplify many security operation tasks using generative AI, supporting incident response, threat hunting, intelligence gathering, and posture management. Defender XDR also introduces capabilities like integrated threat intelligence and even deception technologies, using decoy account and endpoint to produce high quality detection when adversaries interact with them. You see how these all connects. Imagine a common scenario. A user checks personal webmail on a corporate device and opens a malicious attachment designed to evade traditional antivirus signatures. Defender for Endpoint detects abnormal behavior, automatically investigates it, and starts remediation sequence, prompting an analyst to approve cleanup or allowing it to be auto-approved based on your configuration. Then the intelligence from that detection feeds into Microsoft Threat Intelligence System so other security capabilities can look for similar indicators across mailboxes, devices, cloud services while remediation is pending. Conditional access can block access to enterprise application from that device, and once the device is cleared, Entra ID can restore access. And if you're using Sentinel workflows, you can even trigger downstream actions like blocking attacker infrastructure, such as command and control IP addresses at network level. It's also important to recognize insider risk. Trusted user with legitimate access can still create risk, intentionally or inadvertently. Microsoft Insider Risk Management in Microsoft 365 helps you detect, investigate, and act on risky internal activities to reduce the chance of data leakage, sabotage, or policy violations. Let's zoom out and talk about security operation itself. Modern SecOp reduces organizational risk from active attack by rapidly detecting and remediating them. Even though this is a highly technical discipline, it's first a human-centric function. Technology should empower analysis and hunters, not try to replace them. Because serious cyber attacks are often driven in near real time by human operators, one of the most meaningful success metric in the time attackers have in your environments, often described as attacker dwell time. A practical way to measure improvement is to focus on reducing mean time to remediate, or MTTR, because shrinking that window directly limits the attacker's ability to do damage. Historically, many SOCs started with raw data and classic SIEM approaches, collecting huge volume of security and activity logs. Collection is foundational, but often leads to a collection is not detection problem. Teams have lots of data, but not enough actionable detection. Analysis would write static queries to look for odd anomalies, but as the environment and attacker techniques change, these rules frequently produce false positive, wasting time, increasing fatigue, and putting attention away from the real incidents. Extended detection and response, XDR, catalyzed a shift by providing deeper, asset-specific insight with high-quality alert and better workflows. Instead of relying solely on broad log analytics, XDR tools apply machine learning, behavioral analysis, and deep knowledge of your specific asset or attack, whether that endpoint's capabilities, identities, email, SaaS app, cloud workload, or even IoT and OT. Combined with threat intelligence derived from massive signal volume and human-specific experience, this approach reduces false positive and helps analysts spend more time on investigation and proactive hunting and less on maintaining detection rules. Another major force multiplier is automation and investigation, often described through SOAR, security orchestration, automation, and remediation. Automation reduces repetitive manual step, speed responses to machine time, and increases the scale of what your SOC can handle. As Microsoft's approach, these capabilities show up through embedded automated investigation and response, tight integration between the XDR and SIEM, and API that lets you connect to other tools you already use. And SIEM still matters. Its role shifts towards what it does best: custom detection and analysis across diverse data sources, including third-party tools and line of business system. Microsoft Sentinel is a cloud-native SIEM that complements Defender XDR by enabling analysis, hunting, and response workflows across arbitrary logs and platforms. Importantly, Sentinel alerts and workflows integrate into Defender XDR experience to minimize console switching during incident. Finally, remember, none of us is as smart as all of us. Microsoft supports customer with expert assistant through offerings like management threat hunting and incident response support, and through partner ecosystem that provides managed security operation. And increasingly, Security Copilot can help simplify complex tasks, supporting investigation, reporting, posture improvement, and more, so analysis can focus on the highest value work. Here we use a sample security operation model to visualize how responsibilities and capabilities are often organized into tiers. The key idea is that security operation typically moves from triage and initial response into deeper investigation and hunting, and then into specialized expertise and strategic improvements. As we go through the rest of this learning path, you'll see how Defender XDR, Sentinel, automation, and threat intelligence support those layers, helping each tier operate faster and with better control. Let's take a look at how you can investigate threats programmatically. The Microsoft Graph Security API acts as an intermediary service. Think of it as a broker that provides programmatic connection to multiple Microsoft Graph security providers. This is especially valuable when you want to automate part of investigation, enrich cases, or integrate security insights in your own workflows. Microsoft Graph is a RESTful web API. To use it, you typically register an application, then obtain authentication token, either on behalf of a user or as a service principal, so your requests are authorized. You'll also notice there are two API versions available, version 1.0 and beta, where beta can expose newer capabilities, but may change over time. For hands-on exploration, Graph Explorer is a convenient way to call Security API, assuming you've authenticated and have the required permission. For example, to run an advanced hunting query through the API, you can set a post request to https:/v1.0/security/run hunting queries and place your KQL in the request body. One simple query example uses the device process events table, filters where the initiating process file name equals PowerShell.exe, and projects key field like the timestamp and the file name, sort by most recent, and limits the results. In Graph Explorer, you select pose, choose the 1.0 or beta endpoint, paste the KQL JSON payload, and execute it. This works especially well after you've generated telemetry using simulated attack techniques. Now that we've established a broader threat protection concept and how investigation can be powered by API, let's move into the day-to-day work of an SOC. Mitigating incident using Microsoft Defender. This is where correlation, investigation, workflow, and response action come together using real pressure. In this module, you'll build practical capabilities in 4 areas. You'll learn how to manage incident in Microsoft Defender XDR, how to investigate those incidents efficiently, how to work with automatic attack disruption when Defender takes rapid protective action, and how to describe advanced hunting capabilities in Microsoft Defender XDR so you can proactively search for threats beyond what has already triggered alerts. Let's start with where analysts spend most of their time. The Microsoft Defender XDR portal at security.microsoft.com. It's a specialized workplace designed for security teams, and it organizes the experience around key workflows. You'll see areas for incidents and alerts, a dedicated hunting experience, and an action center where remediation and submissions are managed. You'll have a Microsoft Security Score for posture guidance, domain-specific areas like endpoints and email collaboration, reporting views, plus settings and permission to configure the environment and control access. When you hear incident in Microsoft Defender XDR, think of it as the story of an attack. An incident is a collection of correlated alerts and associated data that brought it together to represent what's happening across multiple signals and assets. For demos or hands-on practice, you can use the attack simulator to generate incidents on demand. And there's also a short supporting video on incident management that instructors or students can reference. Once an incident is created, the investigation experience helps you move from overview to action. You typically begin with the attack story to understand the sequence and scope, then review the related alerts that contributed evidence. From there, you pivot into the impacted assets, devices, accounts, mailboxes, and other entities so you can see what's involved and what needs containment. You'll also see investigations that run automatically, and finally, you'll get into evidence and responses, where you confirm finding and take remediation steps. If you want a structured walkthrough, there's an interactive demo you can follow. Watch for the annotation and prompt that shows you where to click, and it takes about 10 minutes end to end. In some cases, Defender can take rapid protective action through automatic attack disruption, particularly in scenarios like ransomware and business email compromise. Where disruption takes effect, the experience uses clear visual cues. In the incident queue, you'll notice a tag labeled attack disruption. Next to affected incidents, when you open the incident, you'll see that same tag on the incident page, strong with a yellow banner at the top to highlight that disruption actions have occurred. And inside the incident graph, the current asset status is updated when an action has been taken against an asset, helping you quickly understand what has already been contained and what still needs attention. Alerts are also the building blocks that rolls up into incident. And the alert investigation experience is built to help you pivot quickly. You can update incident management details directly, review all related information tied to that alert, and jump to deeper investigation page for associated entities like devices, users, or email items. Just like with incidents, attack simulators are useful for generating sample alerts for demonstration, and there's a short supporting videos that walks you through the newer alerts experience from the Defender for Endpoint perspective. Automated investigation are a major way Defender XDR scales responses. To manage them effectively, you'll want to understand a few things. How an automated investigation starts, often triggered by specific alert or suspicious behavior, what details are captured during the investigation, and how the investigation can expand its scope as new evidence is discovered. You'll also need to understand how threats are remediated from the investigation's finding, and how automation level influences what actions are taken automatically versus what requires approval. There are a few important nuances around automation level, and a short demo video is available that walks through the flow in about 4 minutes or more. For response operation, the Action Center is where you track and manage many of the remediation actions across the environment, and it also includes submission. This is useful for reviewing action taken, approving or managing pending actions, depending on configuration, and submitting items where you need Microsoft analysis or want to improve filtering and detection. And again, if you need data for demos, attack simulators can help generate incidents and related workflow activities. Where you want to go beyond reactive investigation, advanced hunting gives you a powerful query-based way to hunt for threats. It lets you explore up to 30 days of raw data so you can proactively inspect events across your network to locate indicators and entities. Even when no alerts have been fired yet, this flexible access supports unconstrained hunting for both known threats and unknown or emerging patterns. Two common outcomes of advanced hunting are performing root cause analysis and creating custom detection based on what you discovered. There's also a supporting video focused on advanced hunting from the Defender for Endpoint perspective that can help you reinforce those concepts. Advanced hunting is also about building the habit of asking good questions from your telemetry. With Microsoft Defender, you can hunt across your organization using a powerful search and query experience, turning hypotheses into query and queries into lead you can validate. If you want more examples and walkthrough, there are multiple supporting video available on advanced hunting and an interactive guide focused on investigating and remediating threats with Defender for Endpoint that you can complete in about 17 minutes. When your hunting scenario involves identity, it's common to investigate Entra ID sign-in log using KQL. One practical detail to remember is that the table name depends on where you're accessing the log. In Microsoft Defender threat hunting, you might use a table like AAD sign-in events data, whereas in Microsoft Sentinel, log typically use sign-in logs. Knowing which table applies in your current workspace helps you avoid simple query errors and gets you results faster. Mitigation isn't only about response. It's also including improved posture, so attacks are less likely to succeed. Microsoft Secure Score helps translating documented security actions into a meaningful score. You gain points by configuring recommended security feature, completing security-related tasks, and even addressing a recommendation using a non-Microsoft application or an alternative mitigation. In the Defender portal, you'll find this under Exposure Management as Secure Score, making it easier to connect operational response with ongoing hardening. Another way to stay ahead is to track emerging threats using threats analysis. It helps you access the impact of your new threats and review your resilience against or exposure to those threats. The idea is to turn threat intelligence into actionable planning. What is the threat? Who is being targeted? How it works? And what control you should validate or improve. Reporting helps you turn operational activity into insights and improvement into Microsoft Defender XDR. The reports area provides visibility into what's happening across detection and protection, helping you identify threats, measure impact, and communicate security outcomes to stakeholders. To ensure the right people stay informed, you can configure email notification in Microsoft Defender XDR. This lets you route key security events like important incidents, alerts, or action center updates to the appropriate responder or distribution list, improving awareness and response coordination. Next, let's shift into one of the most common entry points for attacks: email and collaboration. Microsoft Defender for Office 365 is designed to prevent, detect, investigate, and remediate threats delivered through messaging and collaboration channel. And those capabilities connect directly with the broader Defender XDR experience. In this module, the goals are straightforward and practical. You'll define Microsoft Defender for Office 365 capabilities, describe how to simulate attack within your network so you can validate detection and train responder, and explain how Defender for Office 365 can remediate risk in your environment, from blocking threats before delivery to cleaning up malicious content after the fact. To understand how Defender for Office 365 protects you, it helps to think of it as a cloud-based email filtering stack that operates in phases. Incoming email passes through a series of protection described here as 4 phases. Before it's delivered, the important nuance is that while messages can pass through all phases, the exact path and behavior depends on your organization Defender for Office 365 configuration. That configuration determines how aggressively you filter what to quarantine, what to detonate, what to analyze, and how to handle different types of threats. From a responder's perspective, the lifecycle of email threat tends to follow a pattern. Automation helps detect and take initial action at scale. Investigation helps you understand scope and confirm what happened, and remediation focuses on cleaning up and preventing recurrence. The core message is that Defender for Office 365 is not only about blocking threats, it's also about giving security team tools to investigate and to remediate quickly when something slips through. Defender for Office 365 includes strong investigation and response tooling designed to help your security team anticipate, understand, and prevent malicious attack. One category is threat trackers, which provides intelligence on prevailing cybersecurity issues. With trackers, you can monitor trends like new malware campaign and take countermeasure before they become active incidents. Tracker experience can include noteworthy trackers, trending trackers, tracked queries, and save queries so your team can keep attention on what matters most. Another key tool is Threat Explorers, also referring to as Explorer or real-time detection. This is a real-time reporting experience that helps you identify and analyze recent threat, and you can configure it to show data over custom time period depending on your investigation need. And for validation and training, the attack simulator lets you run realistic attack scenarios within your organization to identify vulnerabilities. You can simulate current attack type, such as spear phishing, credential harvesting, malicious attachment, password sprays, or brute force password attack. These simulations help you test your control, validate user awareness program, and confirm that detection and response workflow work as expected. Now let's move into identities, because many successful attacks becomes identity-driven very quickly. Microsoft Defender for Identity focuses on detecting, investigating, and helping you respond to identity-based threats, especially those targeting on-premises Active Directory and related identity infrastructure. In this module, you'll learn how to define the capabilities of Microsoft Defender for Identity, describe how to configure Defender for Identity sensors, and explain how Defender for Identity can help remediate risk in your environment. If you want to explore deeper as you go, Microsoft documentation for Defender for Identity is available on Microsoft Learn. To understand how Defender for Identity works, let's break down its architecture. At the top, you access the experience through the Microsoft Defender XDR portal, where the Defender for Identity workspace displays the data that's been received from sensors. Those sensors are deployed close to your identity infrastructure. A domain controller sensor monitors the domain controller traffic. An additional sensor can monitor scenarios like ADFS or ADCS by observing network traffic and authentication activity. The telemetry is analyzed by the Defender for Identity Cloud Service, which runs on Azure infrastructure and connects with Microsoft's Intelligence Security Graph to enhance detection and context. If you want a hands-on walkthrough, there's an interactive guide for investigation and reporting the attack with Defender for Identity, designed to be completed in about 14 minutes. Deployment is managed through the portal. To add and manage sensor, go to Settings, select Identities, and then under the General area, choose Sensors. From there, you can onboard sensors, confirm connectivity, and ensure the right domain controllers and identity services are being monitored. At a high level, Defender for Identity helps you move from identity telemetry to actionable detection and guided responses. As activity is observed, such as unusual authentication pattern, suspicious privilege usage, or sign of lateral movement, the service correlates signal, raises alerts, and provides investigation context so you can understand what happened, identify impacted identities, and take remediation steps before the threat spreads further. Here we bring everything together to explain how Microsoft Defender for Identity works in practice. Sensor deployed close to your identity infrastructure continuously observe authentication traffic, permission, and behavior. That telemetry is analyzed by the Defender for Identity Cloud Service, which looks for indicators of compromise such as unusual credential usage, suspicious authentication pattern, or signs of lateral movement. When risky behavior is detected, alerts are raised and correlated into incidents within the Microsoft Defender XDR portal, giving security team clear context and guided response options. Let's take a closer look at lateral movement, which is one of the most dangerous stages of an attack. Microsoft Defender for Identity visualizes lateral movement path, or LMPs, to help you understand how an attacker could move from one identity to another. Inside your environment, these paths highlight risky privilege relationship and access path. When an identity is discovered as part of an LMP, that information appears directly on the user's page, helping an analyst prioritize investigation and remediation before attackers can escalate access. Beyond visual path, you can also hunt for lateral movement path, or LMP activity, using advanced hunting. By querying identity-based tables such as identity directory events, you can look for suspicious directory changes, privilege assignment, or authentication pattern that indicates movement across accounts or systems. This allows you to validate detection, uncover hidden relationship, and proactively identify attack progression before it triggers high-impact alerts. Now we shift from on-premise identity signal to cloud identity protection. Microsoft Entra ID Protection focuses on detecting and responding to identity-based risk in real time. It evaluates both sign-in risk and user risk, helping you identify compromised credential, suspicious sign-in, and risky users before those identities are abused for broader access. In this module, you'll learn how Entra ID Protection works and how it supports investigation and remediation. The goal is to understand how risk signals are generated, how policy responds automatically, and how security team can quickly reduce identity risk across the organization. Here we look at Entra ID Protection at a high level. It continuously analyzes sign-in behavior and user activities using Microsoft Threat Intelligence and machine learning. When risk is detected, that information feeds directly into policies and reports, allowing organizations to enforce security control automatically or trigger investigation workflows. Let's break down how the two types of risk Entra ID Protection tracks. Sign-in risk evaluates how likely a specific authentication attempt is to be compromised based on factors like location, device, behavior. User risk represents the probability that an identity itself has been compromised. These signals can be combined with conditional access policy to dynamically enforce controls. This process shows how Entra ID evaluates risk during sign-in. When a user attempts to authenticate, Entra ID calculates real-time sign-in risk, aggregates it with existing user risk, and evaluates the result against configured identity protection policies. Depending on the outcome, the user may be allowed to sign in normally, required to complete multi-factor authentication, or a password change, or blocked entirely. Here we focus on recommended policy configuration. For user risk, Microsoft recommends requiring a secure password change when risk is high. For sign-in risk, multi-factor authentication should be required for medium or high risk. These policies allow users to self-remediate risk while ensuring compromised credentials don't remain active. Once a risk is detected, remediation can happen in two ways. User may self-remediate by completing MFA or resetting their passwords. Administrator may take actions by blocking access, resetting credential, or investigating related activities. Together, these workflows help organizations rapidly contain identity compromise. Next, we turn to cloud application. Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps helps you discover, monitor, and control how cloud apps are used in your organization, reducing risk from both sanctioned and unsanctioned applications. In this module, you'll learn how Defender for Cloud App works, how Cloud Discovery provides visibility into app usage, and how conditional access app control helps enforce real-time control to protect data and users. Defender for Cloud App Framework is built around 4 core pillars: discovering and controlling shadow ITs, protecting sensitive data anywhere in the cloud, protecting cyber threats and anomaly, and assessing cloud app compliance. Together, these capabilities give security team visibility and control around SaaS environments. Cloud discovery is often the starting point. From the dashboard, you can review overall cloud app usage, identify top app categories, see which apps are sanctioned or unsanctioned, analyze top users and IP addresses, review geographic distribution, and assess app risk scores. This helps you understand what's really happening in your cloud environments. Conditional app access control enables granular, real-time control. You can prevent data exfiltration, require authentication context for sensitive action, protect files on download, block uploads of unlabeled content, stop potential malware monitor user session, and block access or specific risky activities. These controls help you enforce policy even on unmanaged devices. Here we connect cloud app control to information protection. The process starts with discovering data, then classifying sensitive information, applying protection such as label and encryption, and finally, monitoring and reporting on usage. This ensures sensitive data remains protected wherever it travels. Welcome. In this demo, let's set up Defender. We're going to set up basic protection for our user, standard protection, and strict protection. Let's scroll down to email and collaboration, head down into policies and rule, and we're going to click on threat policies. We've got preset threat policies we're going to use: standard protection and strict protection. Let's begin by applying standard protection to our user, which will protect against malicious content, and then we're going to do strict protection. To enable it, click on Manage Protection Settings. Now, who do you want to apply the protection to? In our case, let's go with specific recipient. We could select all recipients, but in this case, we're going to filter. We're going to apply this to recipients in our domain. So let's go down to our domains, start filtering, start typing our domain name, select it, we're good. Next, we're going to do the same thing, but Defender for Office 365 protection, protect against safe attachment, protects with safe link. We're going to select our domain once again. Next, we're not going to turn on impersonation for this demo, but this would allow us to flag users or email address that are problematic, domains that are malicious in our protection. Let's just move ahead. Let's hit next, next. And let's make sure the policy is turned on when we finish. We're done. At this point, SafeLink phishing detection has been turned on for all users in our domain. Standard protection is now active. We also have strict protection, which provides an additional layer of protection, more aggressive action on malicious email. Let's go ahead and configure that as well. We're going to do that again for a specific recipient, but this time we're going to target the recipient. We're going to select not every member of our domain, but our leadership team. So let's select the leadership group and let's hit next. We're going to do the same thing for the Office 365 protection. Select specific recipient, and again, let's select leadership. Next. Once again, we're not going to turn on impersonation. We're going to leave it as is. So we're going to fly through that. Next. 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 Let's turn it on once we finish the configuration. Confirm. And we're done. So we've set up strict protection for our leadership team, providing an even higher level of security against different attacks. This wraps up our first demo for Defender XDR. Let's recap what we've covered in this learning path. We explored how Microsoft Defender XDR helps mitigate threats using integrated tools and capabilities. We examine threat investigation through advanced hunting and the Microsoft Security Graph API. We walked through incident management, including automatic attack disruption and alert investigation. We reviewed how Defender for Office 365 protects email and collaboration, and how Microsoft Defender for Identity and Entra ID protection secures identities. This concludes our session. There are many ways to continue your learning journey. We encourage you to watch other videos in this course or explore your next favorite topic on Microsoft Learn at aka.ms/learn.